Hello and good morning and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. This time I wanted to respond to a tweet where I was tagged in this very interesting post about the new seasonal event. So Prismind or Raijin on Cactuar, Prismind X on Twitter there, actually says they posted about the Final Fantasy XIV new holiday event and would love to hear some input from Meoni Ace, Moogle Go Round and Worked a Game on the topic. So this post from Prismine goes, so I'm normally not a big glamour person, but I really got to question this one after we have the 2B gear set that changes based on the current gender it's equipped. So the new coffer is only attainable once from the event timeline. While you can glam and dye it as needed, it's still bound to one gender once the coffer is redeemed. Some might ask why this is an issue. A big part of gender is being able to glamour not only your character but your retainers or your mannequins. Like a good portion of the game's population, I have access to the housing area. In there we often see retainers in the front of house or inside them in glamour outfits. If you want to use these new glamours on opposite gender retainers and such, it's going to come with a cost. Items like these aren't tradable or marketable, so even if you wanted to get an alt and mail yourself the other set, it's not possible. Firstly, you'll need to Fantasia to the opposite gender to open the coffer and use Fantasia again. It's kinda a forced cost for some wanting to get the best out of a yearly event. He finishes by saying, Yoshi P and the development team, I know it's a week till the event, but please consider patching the gear to just match the gender when it's equipped, not when the coffer is opened, end quote. So that's an interesting point to talk about, which is, I mean, obviously we have gender lock gear from events in the past. This is not something greatly new to me, or at least to my knowledge, but this is something that we've not really talked about too much, is the idea that people possibly not getting the most out of an event if they have something gender locked when they acquire it. So now if I was to speak from a personal point of view, usually I'm sort of used to the idea of having things locked to Meoni being a female when I open or indeed actually, collect a quest reward. If it was a little ladies' day event with the outfits, and obviously I can't get the Seneschal's outfit on Meoni because she is not a male, then I'm not really too bothered. I would like to have that, obviously, but I could purchase this from the MOG station the following year, like a lot of people have, if I really wanted to make a male retainer. I have to say all of my retainers are currently female, just based on the fact that I have more glamour available for those retainers. So yeah, your point is quite valid, but this is an interesting situation that maybe other games have already looked into in the past. But then again, do those games have a similar system like based off of this in the first place? If you were to compare this to other MMOs on the market, such as World of Warcraft, as soon as you actually pick up a piece of gear or something that's glamourable, it just goes straight into sort of like that image has been stored and the item itself is just, you can throw that away whenever you want sort of thing. And obviously with the next expansion for World of Warcraft, they're even doing that with legendaries as well. But they don't have a retainer system or anything like that. So I think for the most part, that's a bit of an oversight on Square Enix's part. I don't think they really understand the necessity that some people will not get the sort of the best experience out of an event if you can't get multiple sets of the same gear. Although I would say that this doesn't seem too much of an issue, although I suppose there are ways around this that don't require cost. I could be wrong in saying this, but couldn't you essentially get a friend of yours who, has access to your housing estate? Couldn't they apply their own glamours to that mannequin, estate privileges, and get them to set the mannequins with that particular set of gear, or does that not work? I'm not really familiar with that system. I don't really deal with personal housing that much, only in the FC, because in an FC house, we can pretty much put whatever we want on those mannequins, and it just becomes like the house's property until they remove it, sort of thing. It's not really something that's a problem. I had never really thought about putting male gear on a retainer, but that's mostly because I've never had a male retainer. I don't know. It's an interesting one, for sure. A forced cost for anybody who wants to have the best from the event, that's really going to come down to being quite a subjective statement, because a lot of people will just be saying the best experience from the event is the event itself, and the reward itself is something that is primarily designed to be for you. Although, I guess, but I don't know, is it really not meeting the 100% completion of that event? Are you not getting the most out of it if you can't trade these items or put them on your retainers or get the male versions if you choose female? I don't know. I personally don't agree that it isn't getting the most out of the event, although I will back you up on the point that I don't think that glamour items should be locked the way they are. There was a recent interest in trying to ungenderify, unlock a lot of gear. There's a big stink about the bunny girl outfits, if you remember, from the Gold Saucer, and eventually they made it so that they were possible to be equipped on all genders, and suddenly we had a load of Rogadins, male Rogadins, running around in the bunny girl outfit, which was rather humorous, but that's the freedom of player choice, isn't it, at the end of the day? So I don't really understand the gender lock. It's an interesting thing. I would have liked to wear the shirt, for example, and the tie, and it looks pretty good, and I would imagine there are male characters out there that would like to wear the Valentiones dress, who sadly can't in this particular instance. So really, it's not about getting the most experience out of events, it's about the glamour system as a whole in the game, the way that they are hard coding this. And really, as much as they say they're trying to ungenderify things and make everything a lot more unilateral, I think that's only one foot doing one of the talking, and the other foot is straight on that narrow path, avoiding all of the other instances. It's one of those really interesting controversies that games often come into, but most other games on the market that are MMOs have similar systems in place, or they'll have something where the gear does change to whatever equips it at the time. So honestly, it might be just the fact that the game is the way it is, and this was just, some of these events would probably take longer to, sort of design if they had to consider that. In the past, though, like you say, with the 2B outfits, that was designed specifically to be accessible to all. And maybe they were using that as a test bed to see what sort of reactions they get before they conclude with more. And of course, all of this sort of feedback that people are giving on the gender lock, hopefully they're going to the forums and making constructive posts. It's sad, but like I said in a previous video, people want things to change for the better, or, if we want to change things or combat the people who go onto the forums and say the negative parts, half of the time they never go on there and actually make their voices known. So if there is a big demand for something, usually if you constructively, pose that to the Square Enix and development team themselves and whoever is listening to these threads, then usually they'll take that on board. And if there's enough interest from, the rest of the people there, they'll consider making some changes. It's probably way too late in the release schedule for this event to change anything now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that things can't change in the future. Another thing, though, to bear in mind, that usually with these events, if you've done the event items, the Calamity Salvager gets updated with things to purchase in the future. So maybe it might be just a case of being able to purchase back that armor since you earned it from the event in the actual game. Maybe they'll add those items to the Calamity Salvager and you can just purchase the male version instead. The opposite gender set as well, like the Seneschal, for example. The Seneschal outfit I can go and purchase right now, I believe, if I wanted to, even though I cannot currently equip it. And I would imagine if I had a male retainer, I could do it that way. So it might be just a case of waiting and just doing the event when it's live and hoping they add it to the Calamity Salvager, or you'll just have to wait until it's on the Mog Station a year later, which unfortunately is the way of things as it always has been. But personally, I will put my own opinion here. I don't necessarily think that by not having the choice of a male and female outfit or the ability to get both from the event is really a game breaker personally for me. But it would be nice ultimately to not have gender locks in the first place, because some of those shirts and stuff look awesome. Anyway, let me know your comments below, what you think about the gender lock situation, whether it should exist or not, and ultimately whether or not this event is actually ticking any of your boxes anyway. For me personally, this outfit does look pretty cool. but it's likely to end up in the glamour dresser and, the armoire for the event items, I forget. And I might not ever use it again. It's just, it's not 100% my cup of tea. But yeah, let me know below and I'll speak to you all next time.